Welcome everyone, and thank you so much for joining us. This is a day all of us at Sirona have been looking forward to for over 5 years. For the past decade, software in radiology hasn't changed much. The same core technologies that helped radiology digitize 15 years ago continue to power every major PACS and reporting product on the market. Today, that changes. After half a decade and almost $100 million of research and development, our incredible Sirona team and our partners and our customers are going to introduce you to a whole new paradigm in radiology IT, built on top of the first entirely new technology stack introduced into radiology in well over a decade. Medicine is at the dawn of a new digital age, one where software will power radiologists, not disempower them, one where AI will support a better, more productive practice of medicine with far less administrative burden on clinicians, one where radiologists will see their role in medicine expand dramatically as the quarterbacks of precision medicine rather than diminished and automated away, one where radiomics and multimodal AI systems will reinvent the radiology work product as dramatically as advanced imaging once did. One that will bring radiologists closer to the rest of medicine and out of the isolated basement reading rooms and data silos that they have had to operate from for the last 2 decades. A new digital age that will make this the best decade to be a practicing radiologist. Today, Sirona is going to introduce a new paradigm in radiology software that was specifically designed to make this brightest future possible. We spent a half a decade reimagining radiology IT for the modern age, and today, we're going to reinvent radiology IT.
One of the things I admire about Sirona is the audacious effort to rethink the clinical workflow for radiologists from the ground up. And that includes the reporting, the image viewing, and the use of AI algorithms and other tools to make the practice more efficient. And we haven't seen a new entrant in the field really take a new approach. And so it's exciting to see Sirona realizing this vision.
If there was anything that I wish radiology practices knew or thought through, it would be that we're on the precipice of something really special. And I don't believe that many of the vendors that are in the market today are prepared for that statement. When you're evaluating software in the radiology space, anyone who ultimately makes a decision to invest in software that doesn't have the ability to be cloud native is just wasting dollars.
If people don't know yet that this type of platform is what is going to allow them to do their job most efficiently over the next 10, 15, 20 years, they're going to find out soon enough.
The team that's been created at Sirona is of the highest caliber. They are really, really great people. And our team, who I would consider rock stars, get up in the morning and enjoy working with the Sirona crew and look forward to the energy and the outcomes that they get to be a part of creating together.
Their level of commitment to the radiologist and to radiology practices in general. Secondly, their absolute commitment to involving the brightest people and the most experienced people in radiology to help them define and enhance their systems. And 3, their level of support to our daily practice.
The people we have worked with through Sirona have exceeded our expectation. Their level of competence, professionalism, understanding of the industry, and understanding and wanting to understand what it is we do day in and day out, and how their product can improve that is something I've never seen. And I've been working in radiology, IT, acquisition, PACS, all of these things for over 20 years, and never seen this level of service engagement from any vendor.
Experience with working with Sirona has been phenomenal. You guys are easily the most responsive team that I've worked with in regards to IT. When I say there's an issue, you guys are on it right away. That has been just amazing. If every other place should look at Sirona as an example.
The just overall people at Sirona are good people, and they're kind, which is quite a bit different than what you see in other environments.
The Sirona team working on generative AI and reporting are among the nicest, most fun, most passionate individuals that I've worked with in my 30-year career.
So not only is it a very talented team that can stand up to the questioning of my practice, because we're very judgmental about meeting salespeople, because I have a very knowledgeable team, and the Sirona team every single time can go in deep on cloud architecture and nerd out, but they're also very likable people. But I really think it's the vision for what you want your product to be that convinces me that this is a wonderful company to work with, is because you do have a futuristic vision in place in a clear way, and you can articulate where you would like to be. Not talking about just what you can give me now, but where you want your product to be, because not many people talk that way.
I'm going to start with a bold claim. In 3 years, practicing radiology through today's best IT solutions will feel as clinically backwards as reading on physical film would feel to a physician today. It's a bold claim, but I promise you that by the end of today's presentation, we're going to prove to you why this is. But let's start with the world as radiologists know it today. Today, radiology IT is made up of a number of disparate pieces of software. They're all 10 to 20 years old. They all have to be stitched together with these really brittle and not so smart integrations. Underneath all of it, practices have to buy and manage their own servers, or even worse, you have to pay some crazy figure like $1 to $3 an exam just to have somebody manage servers in the cloud for you. The result is that software in radiology today really isn't that smart, and it's also not that easy to use. So if we were to draw the classic smart versus easy to use matrix here, down here you would have your standard PACS and reporting solutions today, and some load images faster than others, and some have speech-to-text accuracy that's a little bit better. But they were all built for a time when compute power was 3 to 4 orders of magnitude more expensive than it is today. And they generally take a year or so from the time you buy it to the time that they can go live for you. So in general, it's fair to say that they're not so smart, and really they're not so easy to use. Then over here, you have today's AI solutions, which are certainly a whole lot smarter and a whole lot more modern than your average radiology IT product. They were all built in the last decade or so, which is pretty good. But they're way harder to access and use than they should have to be because of how ancient today's PACS and reporting software is. They have to sit on top of this stuff. This is because radiology IT as we know it just wasn't built to be compatible with AI. How could it be? AI happened after all of today's PACS and reporting platforms were first architected. So AI vendors have gotten hosed. They've had to package their products as widgets off the side of the core workflow. They can't really drive action in the viewer or reporter. Definitely they can't do it in both of them. And all of this has made AI today harder to use and less smart than these systems are capable of being. It has driven AI vendors crazy over the last half decade, and it's so easy to understand why. The result is that in today's world, if you want to make your workflow smarter, you have to make it more complex. More servers, more brittle integrations, more widgets, more complex sets of handwritten rules. But if there's one thing that we know is true about the known universe, it's that complexity does not scale. Only simplicity scales. And the one thing we can be certain of is that radiology is gonna have to scale in all kinds of ways over the next 10 years. This is why we started Sirona, to make all the software radiologists need a whole lot simpler so we can make it a whole lot smarter and a whole lot more scalable too. This is what we're gonna launch here today. All the software that radiologists need to practice medicine more efficiently and effectively on the industry's first unified and cloud-native platform. We call it Unify, and it's changing the way our customers practice medicine today. So for us to make radiology software simpler, smarter, and more scalable, we had to start from scratch with a revolutionary new architecture. This required 5 years and nearly $100 million of R&D and a whole lot of really smart folks to help build it. And it really is an incredible combination of modern software and cloud-native infrastructure. It is a complete reinvention of radiology IT as we know it, and I can't wait to share it with you here in a few minutes. But first, let's talk about why radiology's future requires this reinvention. So here are some of the leading PACS and reporting products on the market today. For private practices, these are probably the usual suspects. You got IntelliRad and Philips for PACS, you got PowerScribe and Fluency for dictation, but it doesn't really matter for the point I'm gonna make. They're all pretty much the same. And let's say, like most practices, you don't get the luxury of reading off of just one platform, but you gotta read off of multiple PACS and reporting platforms. Maybe you got one for the hospital, maybe you got one for your outpatient work. Let's say you've made the investment to make your software a little bit smarter, so you've got an AI algorithm or two deployed. And let's say you bought a universal work list like Clario to help you string all this together intelligently. This is pretty much as smart and as easy to use as software in radiology gets today. Now, yeah, that's a whole lot of stuff for one IT team to have to manage, and there's no question that all of these products, they have their strengths and they have their weaknesses. But the real problem isn't actually any of what you can see here. The problem isn't actually any of the products that you buy. The real problem is what is underneath all of this. The first problem is the complexity of stitching all this stuff together because it's fragmented. And the second problem is that all of the software in radiology was built on top of really ancient technology and infrastructure. And when you put these two things together, you get a whole lot of complexity that keeps IT teams up late at night fighting fires, and you get some really not so smart and not so scalable software that keeps physicians up at night reading for longer hours than they should have to. But more than that, you get a complete moratorium on innovation. From an idea to a deployed feature, IT vendors themselves have a roughly 1 to 2 year lag time. AI vendors have to fight an uphill battle to get adoption, and really, most physicians don't want to have to spend years fighting to get new innovative software solutions through the door of their institution, so they just don't. All of this complexity makes innovation basically impossible for most practices, and for innovative doctors, it's suffocating. But the worst part is that no one vendor can fix this problem. You could build the world's best reporter or the world's best PACS system, and it still has to plug back into this whole mess. So innovation gets killed, and there isn't one vendor that can do anything about it, even if they wanted to. But what if radiologists could read all their cases on one platform, from anywhere? And what if they could access the most powerful and innovative software solutions, AI or otherwise, with a single click? What if you could grow your practice from nothing to tens of millions of exams per year without worrying about how your software that you use is going to scale, or even buying new servers or managing workstations at all? What if radiologists could stop thinking about software and focus on practicing medicine as they want to? Well, we wouldn't be talking about a modern PACS or VR reporting software. We'd be talking about giving physicians and engineers the power to innovate again. Delivering this future doesn't require more software, it requires a whole lot less software. We need to get rid of everything complicated. We need simplicity, and to get there, we need to get rid of all this fragmentation, and we need to get rid of all the ancient infrastructure underneath it. So how do we solve this problem? How do we get rid of all this complexity once and for all, and how do we make radiology software just painfully simple, painfully accessible, and make it powerful all at the same time? Well, as it turns out, the software world solved this problem outside of radiology. It's really been a solved problem for well over a decade, and with a toolkit that we all know and love, and that's the modern internet. Pretty much every part of how we live our lives today is powered by cloud-native web applications. They allow developers to use as much compute power as they want to create some really simple and efficient user experiences. You can update them in a way that's invisible to the end user. You can scale from 1 to millions of users automatically, and you can access them from any computer that has a web browser anywhere on Earth, and you can do it in a really secure way. So to build radiology's brightest future, we need a software revolution, not an evolution. We got to start from scratch, and that's exactly what we did 5 years ago. So if the problem with software in radiology is all these old boxes and all these brittle connections, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take all this, and we're going to replace all of it with a single URL. All the tools that you need to practice radiology more efficiently and more effectively in one single website. So how are we going to interact with this website? Are we going to do it from behind the same 10-year-old VPN-connected, hamstrung PC workstations that still run Windows 10 for some godforsaken reason and can only be accessed by literally driving yourself to the hospital and sitting physically in the basement? Why on earth would we do that? Who wants to travel to physical workstations or swivel chair around to multiple PAC systems on multiple computers? Who wants the IT hassle of managing workstations and VPNs and Windows apps and all of this craziness? Nobody wants any of this stuff. So instead of designing our platform to run in one place and on one kind of computer that you gotta lock down in order to secure, we're gonna build it to work on every computer from anywhere in the world all the time. We're gonna use this platform the same way we use everything else in our digital lives. We're gonna use it through the most powerful and the most ubiquitous IT platform ever built. We're gonna use it through the web browser. Specifically, we're gonna use it through Google Chrome or any Chromium-based browser. And we're gonna use it wherever, whenever we want, and with diagnostic-grade performance. So to do all this, we had to invent a new technology to power it all. We call it RadOS, and it's the first of a new kind of software in radiology that we call the Radiology Operating System. It's the first brand new technology introduced into radiology IT in well over a decade. Here is all that you need to know about RadOS. It's radiology's first cloud-native platform, meaning we built it from the ground up, specifically for the cloud. It can be overlaid on top of as many modalities and PAC systems, RIS systems, and EMRs as you have, all the DICOM and HL7 feeds that drive your practice. RadOS then ingests all this data. It uses a proprietary AI system to normalize that data, solving the data heterogeneity problem, so you get things like hanging protocols that work reliably for the first time. And it uses Sirona's proprietary ontology that we call SironaLex in order to map all of this normalized data to a knowledge graph of radiology-specific knowledge. And then we use this clinical understanding to help orchestrate all the AI and all the other software tools to help you practice medicine faster and more effectively. RadOS then distributes the data that each radiologist needs to the closest of 550 edge locations all across the world, whichever's going to be closest to the radiologist at the time that they're reading, which helps to make load times fast and consistent from anywhere in the country and over time from anywhere in the world. A real-time data intelligence engine logs every event across the entire RadOS infrastructure, every case that's ingested, every click, every word spoken that we got wrong from a speech-to-text perspective, every image that didn't load as fast as it should have. All of this information is logged so that we can make sure that every physician has the same awesome experience using our platform. Then, RadOS archives all this data for 10 times cheaper than has been possible before. RadOS also makes Sirona's platform really, truly future-proof for the first time. Today's radiology IT solutions were built as what are called monolithic systems. This architecture was really how every software was built 10 to 20 years ago, and it means that their entire code base is kind of like a solid brick wall. Trying to improve any one part of the system is like trying to cut out a brick and then replace it. It's difficult, it's time-consuming, and it breaks all sorts of stuff around it that you didn't mean to. Physicians today know exactly what this feels like in two ways. It's the reason legacy vendors build so damn slowly, and it's also the reason every upgrade always breaks something that wasn't broken before. It's a moratorium on innovation, which is why software engineers stopped building systems in this way over a decade ago. You can't modernize them brick by brick, so you really can't modernize them at all. So we built RadOS in a totally different way. We built RadOS in the way all modern software is built today, on a microservices-based architecture, which is kind of like putting a bunch of Legos together. It's a bunch of independent pieces that are all tied together in a really standardized way. This means anytime you want to improve or modernize one piece of the platform, like say how we store images, we can just swap out that service for a more modern one. Anytime you want to add new capabilities, like say you wanted to add a module that allowed us to ingest genetic data alongside imaging and run all the same powerful RadOS platform functions on that data too, well, in effect, you can just add another Lego. You can just add modules as complex as this, and you can do it without worrying if it's going to break everything around it. You can continuously modernize the system piece by piece and add new pieces of functionality from AI to multi-omic support in a way that requires nothing from customers. All of this makes RadOS more future-proof and faster moving than any software platform in radiology before. When you put all of this together, you get something truly novel. Not a new software product, but a totally new software paradigm with some pretty incredible characteristics. Firstly, is a revolution in the accessibility of the software doctors need to practice. We believe in a future where every physician has equal access to the best tools to practice medicine. RadOS makes this possible in 3 important ways. Radiologists can access all of their case volume through one single URL on any computer from anywhere in the country. Second, practices as small as a single physician with no additional support can practice medicine as effectively and efficiently as the largest practices on earth, thanks to Sirona, and with no additional help required. This has helped our customers to provide access to quality diagnostic care to parts of this country that they just couldn't reach before Sirona. Also, RadOS facilitates a revolution in access for developers. Developers can build and embed powerful user interfaces that touch every part of the clinical workflow, the viewer, the reporter, the work list, and so on, in a way that just wasn't possible until now, and with instant access to all the compute power and clinical data that they need to build really powerful clinical solutions for doctors. No more widgets off to the side, no more secondary captures. RadOS makes it possible for developers to make their solutions as smart and easy to use as they are capable of. And this leads me to my second point. RadOS allows Sirona to build some really breakthrough software. Today, we're gonna show you not 1, but 3 software products that are at least 5 years ahead of any other vendor. How is this possible? Well, we started with an extremely powerful foundation. Sirona is built on AWS. Over the last 20 years, Amazon has built the foundation of the modern internet, and RadOS was built from the ground up to bring the full cutting-edge power of AWS to radiology. To share a few words about how AWS is helping Sirona to reinvent radiology IT and to deliver breakthrough software to radiology, I'd like to welcome our very good friend and partner, Dr. Jared Saul, Chief Medical Officer of AWS.
Thanks, Cameron. I'm Dr. Jared Saul. Really excited to be here talking about Sirona and AWS and the work we're doing together. I'm a radiologist by background, practice neuroradiology clinically, and I'm also a technologist and entrepreneur, and I've been at Amazon Web Services for a little over 5 years. Radiology has traditionally been based on very complicated, primarily on-premises systems that have limited ability to expand and scale. And this next generation of radiology practices really need the agility and nimbleness of a cloud-based architecture to deliver care and capture the innovations of artificial intelligence. So at AWS, we have core services like our storage tier, S3, which allow essentially unlimited storage capacity in a highly redundant and resilient manner. This is super important for radiology, allows us to archive images, make sure that they're protected and safe and available when you need them. We have elastic compute, which is unlimited computational resources. You pay for what you use, you can scale up and down, and you can meet the demands of the clinical setting at a national or even global level. We also have a content delivery network, which is really purpose-built to move images and data as close as possible to the end user to speed delivery and create very little latency. This is what we see with like Netflix and Amazon Prime Video, and it works equally as well for radiology. In radiology, these fast loading times are super important to clinicians. You can't be waiting for images to load. And we get performance on par with what people have traditionally had on-prem or better. So it's really important for radiologists to think about the different types of architecture that systems run on. There are traditional systems that run on premises, and some of those can be lifted and moved to the cloud. And they get a great number of advantages by doing that. But there are other systems, maybe the next wave of engineering, where they're built from the ground up using cloud-native primitives. And this allows them to capture the scalability, the performance, and the pricing advantages of the cloud, and also be positioned to really take advantage of innovation that comes down the pike. And I think that this is the future that we're going to see more and more practices and systems adopt, is cloud-native services for all of these benefits. What's truly unique about Sirona is it's a cloud-native system, meaning it really is built from the ground up on the cloud from day one. using and fully leveraging all of the services that AWS has brought to market over the years. One of the benefits of this is as we continue to add capabilities and drop price, Sirona benefits from that and can easily incorporate and integrate these functions. So it's getting the price, the performance, the scalability, the security, all built into those services, built into their system at the ground level. And as new innovations come along, they get those for free as well, baked in.
Thanks very much, Jared. By harnessing the full power of the AWS platform through RadOS, our incredible team of engineers and designers have been able to build some truly breakthrough software products that we are so excited to launch publicly here today. And with that, let's dive in. First, archive all your data for 33 cents per exam with Sirona Archive. That's right, for 33 cents an exam, all in, we're able to store all of your clinical data and do it indefinitely for as long as you're our customer. No cloud hosting fees, priors are free, and historical studies can be migrated for pennies. For comparison, cloud hosting costs alone for legacy PACS archives can range from 50 cents to $1.50 per exam, and that's before the cost of the actual software itself. And with the power of RadOS, we're able to slash the cost of data storage by 80 to 90% with Sirona Archive. This allows practices to afford using Sirona as a business continuity solution, if they'd like. So if you're sick of your brittle and legacy infrastructure, failing all the time, and that's impacting clinical care, you can just overlay Sirona on top of all of your existing PACS and RIS and so on systems, so that anytime your existing IT stack goes down, or you want to jump on Sirona and just start reading, you absolutely can. Before RadOS, you couldn't really have a redundant reading platform without spending a fortune for something that really didn't do the job all that well. So some practices with longer-term existing PACS contracts have found this use case to be a pretty valuable and really affordable stepping stone to a full practice transformation and transition to Sirona. The second product that we are launching today is what I am most excited to show you here in a few minutes. It is our flagship workflow service that we call Sirona Unify. It's all the software that you need to practice radiology more efficiently and more effectively, available through a single URL. And to make things even better, we added the most flexible contract structure in the history of radiology software. It's the future of radiology workflow, and it comes without the mandatory long-term contractual lock-ins that radiology IT companies today subject practices to. We cannot wait to show it to you here in a few minutes. And finally, radiology's first open developer ecosystem to bring all the power of RadOS to third-party software companies. When our Amplify SDK is available publicly, developers will have the ability to touch every part of the radiology workflow and use all the compute power they'd like to deliver really transformational software products to Sirona's customers. We call this our Amplify SDK, and Sirona has been building breakthrough software on top of it for years. Now, we're working with some of the leading AI developers in radiology to refine it from an internal toolkit to a public platform in the near future. To illustrate how Sirona is transforming the way our customers practice and why the future of every radiology practice is going to require a modern radiology operating system, I'd like to introduce some of our wonderful customers and partners.
Operationally, again, this is revolutionary, right? So traditional PACS is a heavy machine, servers, software, licenses, internet, connectivity, all those things that are very, very expensive and difficult to do. So when you have a single product replacing that at very low cost, very low service overhead, it's democratizing imaging. It's democratizing what we do, the cockpit. It makes it affordable for small groups now to compete with larger groups. So their competition is based on service, not the amount of money they have. And that's a huge change. It's allowing every practice to take control of their workflow, improve that workflow, and deliver services at any scale. It is the foundation that we can grow with. We haven't found a product like this, and thus we haven't grown. In terms of the critical nature of it, I think for our strategy of strategic growth, it is the foundation. We wouldn't be able to do it without this type of product.
The great thing about Sirona is its accessibility. All you need is internet and power. From my side of the standpoint, Sirona provides all the rest. Sirona infrastructure is cloud-based. I need to log into a web browser and I can immediately start reading studies. It has an integrated reporter. I can immediately start dictating studies. I can send back my reports instantaneously. Every component, every possible need that I had in order to provide the best care possible, in order to provide my vision to the people of North Dakota, was easily attainable through Sirona.
It gives me a lot of flexibility in when I can read and how much I can read, because I can do it in my house whenever I want. I can read, I probably am reading another hour or two really per day, which is great for both the practice and myself. I mean, it's, you know, like I mentioned before, our volumes are increasing, and this is an excellent way to help make us more efficient.
How is it differently architected than traditional radiology? That's a very, that could be a 3-hour answer. Better workflow, more cost savings, drive the industry forward. And I've been waiting for this to happen. As an informaticist, I've been waiting for this to happen for 20 years. So I'm glad to see it's finally happening.
About really leveraging artificial intelligence as the market develops. Trying to do an on-prem solution isn't a scalable solution. You really need a cloud-native platform for implementation and future growth. If I tried to do hanging protocols, it is literally impossible with our current system because I have no control over those scanners. And even if I did, I would need an army of minions to go to every single scanner of 120 sites and type in series names that match. And I was amazed that I could take a lumbar spine MRI that has 20 series and actually have it hang correctly without my input, besides telling people I want this here and this here. It actually worked, which was the most miraculous thing to me because it's a smarter way of doing it. Because you guys think about problems from scalability and you think about new ways of doing things, you're not relying on old rule-based systems to create a hanging protocol. This is one of the smarter uses of data science and AI is to actually solve it as a data science problem, which is what it is. And that was probably the most exciting thing to me, to see Sirona working in my system and hanging things properly.
So the hanging protocols that Sirona has applied for us has been a big improvement. First, the program, no matter where we do the scans from, which are multiple different imaging facilities using different scanners and different imaging protocols, are hung by Sirona in the exact same way each time. That allows us to be efficient and not have to move the sequences around to be able to interpret the case in a efficient manner. Secondly, one of the most important things for me is to be able to put the old study and the new study in a way that it is easy to compare the different sequences that we perform. Sirona automatically puts the scans with the similar sequences above and below or side by side to each other such that we don't have to spend the time doing that. Secondly, and very importantly in my practice as a spine radiologist, Sirona automatically labels the motion segments or the spinal vertebral bodies in every case, saving me the time and effort to figure that out and do it. What that does is, I've discovered, it saves me approximately 1.5 minutes per case, and over the course of a day, about an hour and a half.
Sirona's hanging protocol, you know, the way they approach it is quite a bit different than what our current systems that we work with right now. So having to go through and individually hang each study right now in our system, it's really not much more efficient than it was back when I was training and we used to actually physically hang the studies up on the reader. And so having that smart, you know, built in and utilizing the AI to grab those studies and to compare them, you know, in a more accurate way is huge. I mean, it saves literally minutes for every single study, which may not sound like a lot, but when you're reading, you know, 100 to 150 studies a day, those minutes add up big time. We're looking at, you know, 2 hours gained in efficiency, which is huge.
Since Sirona, I have seen the radiologists' attitudes and appreciation of work improve because they're not searching for different systems and different speech mics. Everything's efficient for them and things are flowing. You know, when they can do their work efficiently, they're very happy.
So one of the important things for integration of the AI technologies exist now is a single-click deployment. So as a radiologist, if I have to do a lot of maneuverings and kind of have to worry about servers in the basement and everything else going on in order for me to access the tool that I need, I'm either not going to use it or I'm not going to enjoy using it. The one thing that Sirona and Reveal DX have worked on really nicely is that single-click deployment, which puts that tool right at my hands and integrates it seamlessly into the work that I'm doing, so then I don't have to slow down and have that information available to me. It really has a huge impact on our ability to add value to our customers and for our patients.
Deploying AI into the radiology workflow is going to require re-architecting the technology stack in a way that we can add functionality quickly, and we can add it in a way where it's integrated tightly into the workflow. And Sirona's taking a major leap forward in terms of solving that problem.
If somebody had their druthers, they'd want it fast, they'd want it good, and they'd want it cheap or affordable. And the response to that was always, can't have all three, pick two. Now with AI and with cloud, you can actually have good, fast, and affordable. Because you're spreading the investment, you've got high-powered infrastructure, and you have a commitment to quality.
We are at an inflection point in healthcare in general. And I think, as has long been the case, radiology is at the tip of the spear of that. You can see the future ahead with AI, cloud-enabled technology, unified viewers, assisted reporting, multimodal data sets. This is all coming. It's not a matter of if, it's when.
I think what radiologists should know is that what Sirona is doing is creating a seamless environment to allow them to do their work in radiology, but also prepare them for a world where pathology and radiology are coming together, along with maybe these other modalities and diagnostics that we've talked about.
So when Paige and Sirona succeed, I think what we could look at is a step towards a more fully integrated patient care. And that means, again, radiomics, pathomics coming together, but then also bringing genomics and proteomics so that we have a full spectrum, a fuller understanding of that patient.
So today, Unify is changing the way medicine is practiced for our customers. Before I hand it over to the team to show you what we've built, I want to contextualize what we've accomplished with the products we've just launched. There's a quote that I love, which is that you can't build 60% of a rocket ship and go to the moon. 5 years ago, we set out to build a new technological foundation for radiology. And for 5 years, we've built effectively in silence. We didn't want to waste physicians' time until we'd built the whole rocket ship for our first customers. We didn't want to launch Unify until it was transforming medicine for our first 5 customers and until we were in the process of rolling out to our next 10. Today, Sirona has signed contracts with roughly 4% of the US radiology market. So make no mistake, we have a lot more buttons to build to be able to take care of every practice out there, a whole lot more. We think it's going to take us 1 to 2 years to build every legacy button that every practice on earth is going to want. So if we have the buttons your practice needs today, then we can transform the way that your practice operates, and we can do it now. And if not, we'll build them for you as quickly as you're our customer. Buttons really aren't rocket science. But in contrast, what we've built today really is the whole rocket ship. It's the necessary technological foundation for radiology to be able to realize its brightest future. To illustrate that we really have built the whole rocket ship, we thought we'd introduce you to Unify using internet from space. Because I don't know why not. So Samir, you're awesome, and take it away, my friend.
Thanks so much, Cameron. I'm super excited to show you all how different Sirona is and how it's going to change the face of radiology. Let's go. So as you've heard, Sirona is a completely cloud-native platform. And to prove that, I'm here in the heart of the Rocky Mountains overlooking Mount Wilson with only a satellite internet connection and the Chrome web browser. So let me show you what it's all about. So it's a single sign-on, and what opens first is the work list. It's a universal work list, which acts as an overlay over multiple PACS systems. So no more switching between work lists and clicking around and wasting time. I've added a couple cases to my queue, so I'm going to open a CT chest here. And as you can see, the reporter opens here and the viewer opens here. So you can open up the windows wherever you want using a Chrome extension, and you'll be set anywhere you read from. As far as the reporter, you're ready to go out of the gate. We import your templates, macros, and modules, and your templates will auto-load depending on the study you open. And there's also no voice training involved. As far as the viewer, it's completely modernized with increased accessibility to tools, so you're ready to go and more efficient right out of the gate as well. So let's jump into this case. No focal consolidation period, no pulmonary edema period, scattered areas of air trapping period, no traction bronchiectasis or honeycombing period, minimal scarring in the anterior, inferior right middle lobe period, there's an 8 by 8 millimeter right lower lobe nodule with malignancy similarity index of 0.084. No pleural effusion or pneumothorax period, no pleural thickening period. Pick 3. Pick 2. Pick 2. Status post cholecystectomy period. Nonspecific 8 millimeter right lower lobe nodule with malignancy similarity index of 0.084, comma, thus highly likely benign period. New paragraph, no active disease in the chest period. Okay, so let's take a deeper dive into the tools I used in this case, which is unique to Sirona and made possible by the re-architecture of the radiology IT stack. Okay, so you can see in the top left corner here that the hanging protocols module shows that my CT chest hanging protocol has loaded automatically. In this case, axial soft tissue on the left and axial lung on the right, which is right where I want them. This feature employs our AI-powered engine for data normalization, namely series and study names, so Sirona's hanging protocols work better than any other system out there. When I was reading the case, I used the Sirona lung tool, which you can see here, which automatically provided measurements and displayed an MSI score, which you can see here. The MSI score stands for Malignancy Similarity Index, and is a probability for malignancy that has been developed by RevealDX, one of our founding AI partners. You can see in this environment, there's no secondary capture and no extra series to display the results. They appear right on the image, right within my workflow. Similar presentations can be performed with any AI vendor within our ecosystem, which will significantly simplify the radiologist workflow. Next, instead of dictating the series and image numbers, when I report a nodule, like I normally do on legacy systems, and potentially introduce a mistake, I use our image bookmark tool, which you can see up here. With a single click, I insert a clickable link in my report that displays the series and image number and allows future radiologists and referring providers to click on the link and be taken directly to the image that displays the reported finding. You no longer have to scroll through hundreds of slices to search for the findings in the prior study. And I can demonstrate it here. So for example, I've scrolled off the nodule here, and now I will click on the link in the reporter. And I'm taken to that exact slice. Okay, for our next case, let's open an MRI lumbar spine. Trace disc bulge period, no spinal canal or foraminal stenosis period. Small diffuse disc bulge and mild thickening of the bilateral ligament of flavum period. No spinal canal or foraminal stenosis period. Small diffuse disc bulge and mild thickening of the bilateral ligament of flavum period. No spinal canal stenosis period. Minimal left foraminal stenosis period. Small diffuse disc bulge and mild bilateral facet arthropathy, as well as mild thickening of the bilateral ligament of flavum period. No spinal canal stenosis period. Mild bilateral foraminal stenosis period. Disc desiccation and mild loss of disc height period. Small diffuse disc bulge with superimposed broad-based central disc protrusion, which contacts the right greater than left traversing S1 nerve roots period. There's also mild bilateral facet arthropathy period. Mild spinal canal stenosis, and mild bilateral foraminal stenosis period. multi-level degenerative changes of the lumbar spine, comma greatest at L5-S1, where there is mild spinal canal stenosis and contact of the bilateral traversing S1 nerve roots period. Okay, so let's take a deeper dive into the unique tools that I use in this case, which is only made possible by the unification of the Sirona platform. Okay, so here we have the MRI lumbar spine that I had dictated. Again, my hanging protocol, which you can see here, places series wherever I wanted them, regardless of series name, and my MRI lumbar spine template auto-loaded in the reporter using the same smart classifier. This is another feature that saves radiologists time. Additionally, with a single click of our auto spine label tool, I was able to label the spine without individually clicking on the vertebral bodies. When I did use that feature, you can see that the disc levels automatically changed into clickable links. These clickable links in the report allow me to drive navigation in the viewer, as you can see here. So for example, I'm clicking on L12, and then L23, L34, L45, back up to L12. So if you do want to verify a finding, you can easily click on the disk level in your report instead of having to scroll through multiple slices. Also, if by mistake you are dictating one level off, which happens to all of us, you can adjust the levels in the viewer. So for example, I can switch L4 to L3. And the remaining spine levels also adjust, and it will also adjust in the reporter. This tool is a great demonstration of how unified our system really is. Thank you so much for joining me on this demonstration of the Sirona workspace here in beautiful Colorado. Before I get back to my shift here, I'm going to hand it over to our VP of Product Kate and CTO Mark in our head office in San Francisco to discuss more about why this platform is so special. Back to you guys.
Hi, I'm Kate, and I run product here at Sirona.
And I'm Mark, Sirona CTO.
Before Sirona, I ran product and strategy for PowerScribe 360 for nearly 10 years, and have spent almost 25 years in and around radiology IT. Every once in a while, a product comes along that changes everything. And at Nuance, I was fortunate to be part of building a product like this in PowerScribe 360. We pioneered a new software paradigm with voice recognition and changed the way radiology is practiced. What we're launching today will change radiology even more dramatically, for some practices today and for all others within the next year or two.
Before I joined Sirona, I did my PhD work in evolutionary genetics at Stanford, and then ran data science at Quid, which was one of the pioneers of natural language processing across numerous industries, including healthcare. I joined Sirona for a number of reasons. For one thing, it's clear that within the field of medicine, radiology is where AI is going to have the most profound clinical impact. I also believe that the ability to combine imaging data, genomic data, and other omics data to make diagnostic medicine truly multimodal is going to transform healthcare. But we need a modern technical platform to realize that vision. I also joined because I get to work with Kate and an amazing group of technical people. So today is really just the beginning for Sirona, but we've already accomplished some truly incredible things with Unify.
Unify is the first cloud-native workflow platform in radiology's history. It's also the first unified platform where all the software you need is in one place. This means that if today you read from 2, 3, 4 disparate PACS systems, with Sirona, we can either overlay on top of all of them or replace them outright and give you the platform to read off of. This has a profound impact on clinical and operational efficiency, and our customers talk about it in a moment.
Also, our platform is more accessible than any other. Any computer, anywhere, anytime. And as Samir was kind enough to show us live, you can even use Starlink to read from the side of a mountain or use your phone as a Wi-Fi hotspot. There are really no compelling other zero-footprint solutions today. We knew that to prove RadOS really is the future of radiology, that we really had to develop a highly performant system.
We know that to achieve the efficiency that radiologists are looking for, that speed matters. And our system, as you saw, is fast and getting faster by the day. And today, that is the primary way in which you evaluate most PACS systems against each other. But Unify is a whole lot smarter and faster in ways that PACS just can't be. AI-powered hanging protocols, auto-labeling spine MRIs, auto-measuring lung nodules, voice commands that drive viewer actions, AI-powered image-to-image and text registration, and LLM-powered MedCheck to detect errors in reports in real time. This is all natively embedded in the workflow and free to all Unify customers, and all features that require Sirona's industry-first connection between images and reports. As our customers have already spoken to, these features add up to real time savings, and we'll be shipping a whole lot more AI-powered efficiency to Unify customers this year. I've spent most of my professional life hearing how frustrated speech-to-text errors make radiologists. They're annoying, they slow you down, and squinting at the text all day will definitely kill your eyes by the end. Today's legacy VR reporting solutions have published accuracy figures of roughly 95%. So Unify is already more accurate, and we're just getting started. We've built powerful tooling into RadOS to track VR accuracy, and for each physician in real time. So if we get a word wrong, you don't even have to tell us about it. We'll see it, and we can work to fix it quickly.
Unify is also extremely reliable. We now have data on this going back 3 years, and with millions of cases ingested and processed. 99.99% historical uptime. That means on average, Sirona is down 53 minutes per year. Updates happen invisibly in the background without customers knowing. They're free, and they happen about once every 2 weeks. Unify also has incredibly powerful application monitoring and analytics engine. RadOS allows us to embed extremely powerful real-time monitoring tools into the application. It's kind of crazy how precise we can get with this monitoring. If a case loads slowly for you, for some reason, we know about it in real time. Same thing if voice recognition gets the same word wrong a couple of times. Every click, every scroll, every measurement, every move you make, every breath you take is monitored. So we can make sure the system works really well for every single doctor we serve. This also means we have real-time statistics about the performance of every part of the application for every physician. So we can prove these numbers are maintained for every new customer we roll out to. Also, as we continue building more and more novel AI features, this monitoring will allow us to measure precisely how much efficiency these features drive for each individual physician. It allows us to be responsive to the physicians we serve in a way not possible before RadOS.
This is also part of what makes Unify so scalable. Today, RadOS is already integrated into some 40 underlying IT systems for our customers. And with just the practices we're implementing now, we expect Unify to be processing more exams per year than any single instance of a radiology IT product today. Right now, that distinction goes to one PACS instance that's processing roughly 5 million exams per year. Once fully implemented, our current customer base will pass more than 12 million exams through Sirona in a year.
RadOS also makes Unify quite possibly the most secure radiology IT product in history. We're responsible not just for all the software you use, but for the security of your data. We're HIPAA and SOC 2 compliant, certainly, but we reduce the areas of exposure for practices dramatically because data don't have to pass between a bunch of fragmented systems. From a regulatory perspective, Sirona is a Class 1 medical device company today, and early next year, we'll be transitioning to Class 2 as we deliver more AI value to our customers. PACS companies are Class 1, but all the reporting and text AI companies in the market today aren't even regulated at all. That means zero FDA oversight. Now that might have been fine when you're not shipping AI-powered features, but now that every part of the radiology workflow has to be powered by AI, physicians should demand that every piece of software they touch be a regulated medical device product and company. Sirona is regulated, and every part of our platform is tested, monitored, and audited to a higher standard.
Because Unify is cloud native, we can deploy AI seamlessly into the workflow with a single click. And that's not just true for the solutions that we're creating, but from those from third parties as well.
We're developing an open developer ecosystem such that any developer can build powerful software for our customers, leveraging our Amplify SDK. So Unify is changing the way our customers practice radiology today, and we're rapidly building all of the functionality necessary to deliver the transformational power of Unify and our RadOS platform to every practice and AI developer over the next 12 to 24 months.
At Sirona, we spend all day thinking about how we can make life simpler for radiologists. And that innovation doesn't stop with our software. We've completely reimagined how we're able to partner with the practices we serve and reinvent the business model in radiology IT completely. So today, we're not just reinventing radiology software, we're reinventing the business model for radiology IT. We're reinventing radiology IT wholesale. So to talk about how we make it 10 times easier to partner with Sirona than legacy vendors, I'd like to introduce our wonderful COO, Bill Corsten, and our head of integration, Vijay.
Hi, my name is Bill Corsten. I'm Chief Operating Officer with Sirona Medical.
Hi, my name is Vijay Yaluri. I'm the Head of Integrations at Sirona Medical.
I've been in healthcare IT for more than 25 years with companies such as Agfa Healthcare, M-Modal, and McKesson Corporation. I joined Sirona to help navigate the next generation of radiology imaging and healthcare IT in general.
I've been in healthcare for 20 plus years. Started my career with GE Healthcare, building radiology packs. Then I joined Stanford, managing the imaging department, radiology, cardiology, and all the other ologies that include imaging. And I joined Sirona to bring the next-gen radiology space to the market.
At Sirona, we think about how to simplify every part of the radiology IT experience, and that goes well beyond the software that we develop. For example, we thought about how to simplify how you partner with Sirona Medical. Starting with Archive, we can store your images for 33 cents a case. It's not just about storing your data, it also is about providing a business continuity platform, as Cameron just mentioned. In addition to the business continuity platform, we wanted to make it super easy for practices of all sizes to get involved with Sirona. So we've announced a special program for larger practices, allowing them to use our reporting platform at a cost, our cost, as we build all of the buttons you need to move your practice fully to a Sirona platform. So we're making it a no-brainer for every practice to get involved with Sirona. Between Unify, Archive, business continuity, and this special Reporter First program, there's multiple reasons for practices of every size and complexity to get involved with Sirona today. We've also thought about how do we simplify contracting with Sirona. When you think about those ancient infrastructure legacy platforms, you're somewhat forced into a 5, 7, or 10-year contract with minimums and lock-ins. All of that changes with Sirona. We offer a fixed fee per case cost for Unify with no minimums. But we also can offer discounts for longer-term contractual lock-ins that would come with some minimums. This is precisely the kind of access revolution that Cameron spoke about earlier.
Sirona makes it an order of magnitude simpler to integrate, primarily because it's cloud native, so there's no servers required, and also because of its unified architecture. The unified architecture helps significantly because it's a single application that you have to integrate with, as opposed to the IT solutions that exist in the market today, where radiology IT teams have to integrate with 3 different applications, a worklist system, a PAC system, and a dictation system, all from different vendors.
Once you're integrated, we've also made it super easy to implement and to access Sirona Medical. You don't need a VPN. All you need is access to a Chrome browser from anywhere, the office, at home, at a mountaintop. Sirona offers one-on-one training with each radiologist on the Sirona platform. The onboarding time is averaging 30 to 45 minutes. And once you're integrated with Sirona, this means you're able to get as many radiologists onto the platform as fast as we can, as fast as you want to, without the hassles that normally come with setting up all of the IT infrastructure of legacy systems.
Because of all the things we just described, Sirona makes it easy to expand your practice. You just send us a note once the contract is signed. We start the integration work, and all your data is in Sirona for you to start validating your production data. We manage all the DICOM and HL7 connections with your customer directly, so you don't have to worry about those things. Sirona also gets rid of the concept of upgrades. The upgrades happen every week, they're free, and they're invisible, as opposed to the other solutions that exist today, which require downtimes, which require planning, which require significant amount of testing and validation.
We don't just do away with the idea of upgrades. We make integration of third-party AI systems as simple as a single click. You can buy these third-party AI systems directly through Sirona. You contract with us, it's deployed within Sirona's infrastructure. There are no new security reviews or processes of any kind. This makes AI available with a single click in an embedded way that has never been possible before Sirona. We've also simplified customer service. 24/7 support is baked right into the application. We don't just sell software, we sell the ability to practice medicine, and we've built the tools to make all of that happen. Message us, call us, we're available 24/7. Because we've developed all the software that you need, we're here to help solve the problems that you have. Sirona makes it easy to transform your radiology IT stack today with Unify, and our platform was purpose-built to allow developers to build more powerful applications and make them available to every Sirona customer with a single click using our Amplify SDK. Our Unify product is now generally available with the first available implementation dates early next year, given our customer backlog. But today is just the beginning for Sirona. And before we wrap things up today, I believe there's just one more thing Cameron wanted to share.
I grew up watching a generation of radiologists reimagine this specialty that we all love. And over the next 5 years, we're going to help this next generation of pioneering physicians to do the same. When I started today by saying that within 3 years' time, today's IT systems are going to feel as backwards as reading on physical film does to doctors today, I didn't say Sirona was the reason why. PACS didn't start the teleradiology revolution of the 2000s, and CT didn't start the outpatient revolution of the 1980s. Every time radiology has been reimagined, it's been innovative physicians that have built and then owned that future. Software doesn't change medicine. Doctors do. All we've done today is build them the tools that they need to do so again. So here's a sneak peek of what customers can expect from Sirona over the coming year, and an illustration of why we believe this new software paradigm we've launched here today is about a whole lot more than a new PACS or a new reporting software. It's about giving the future of radiology back to radiologists. It's about giving physicians what they need to reimagine their specialty for the next decade.
Part of Sirona's mission from the beginning was to use natural language processing to enhance the radiologist workflow. And what we saw with GPT-4 was really a step function in those capabilities through large language models. So immediately, Mark started prototyping, and we hit the road and met with all of our top clinical advisors, really first trying to understand the validity of what this solution could produce. And not only did we confirm that these technologies were ready, but the use cases really were infinite. So we were able to continuously prototype and iterate, and it was just so much fun for the last few months in creating what you'll see today.
And now we're excited to show you what we've been cooking up in the lab. And by we, I mean our esteemed advisor, Dr. Sachs.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here with my good friends Mark and Kate and show what Sirona, Unify, and RadOS will be doing to transform radiology practice. So let's get going. I'm now looking at a conventional imaging work list. I've placed my case of interest in my queue. I'm going to go ahead and open it. And at this point, I would normally proceed directly to the reporting template and the image viewer. But in Sirona world, I'm able to open first to the patient jacket. And on the left, we will see a listing of the patient's prior studies, as is usually the case in current patient jackets. And below it, the imported report for whichever case in the prior history I'm interested in looking at. This gets really interesting and exciting when you look at the right-hand side of the patient jacket. Sirona has leveraged the AI and large language model technologies to create a succinct prior summary of the patient's history. And below that, we'll see a organ by organ system enumeration of relevant findings from prior studies. And they're organized in a way that mirrors my ultimate reporting template and will help to focus me as I review the examination. So let's move on to image review and reporting. We've now opened the image viewer and the reporter. And what's so exciting here is that I'm able to place the reporter in the background and focus all my attention on the viewer and evaluate the images and create my report without any distractions. I'm now reviewing the soft tissue window images of this chest CT. I move on to the lung window images. And having completed my review, I'm ready to start my report. In the right middle lobe, there is a 1.6 by 3.5 centimeter in diameter tubular branching low density mass with peripheral calcification, period. In the left lung apex, there is a 3 millimeter solid nodule, period. In the right upper lobe, there is a 5 millimeter ground glass nodule, period. There's also a solid 4 millimeter triangular nodule in the right upper lobe, likely representing a lymph node, period. There is a moderate-sized pericardial effusion. There is a sub-centimeter hypodensity in the dome of the liver, likely representing a cyst, period. There is a punctate calcification in the upper pole of the left kidney without evidence of obstruction, period. We now see that the reporter has transcribed the findings that I have just dictated, and we are ready to consider what our conclusions will be in this case. And in doing so, I'm particularly interested, given the presence of a dominant right lung mass, to know if there was prior imaging that would be relevant to my impression and recommendations. Specifically, I'm most interested to know if there's a prior PET CT, and if so, I would like it to be hung for my review. Hang prior PET CT, period. And there it is. I'm now able to review the PET CT images and conclude that there is no evidence of a malignant appearing lesion in the lung. We're now going to proceed to generate our final report. We now have for our review a completed report which includes all of the elements that I previously dictated. We have the nice addition of dated references to prior examinations, and the system has evaluated my findings for stability over time. Also, what's exceptionally interesting is that the system has been able to note things that I did not comment about, but include relevant statements about them in my final report.
Fantastic.
Great. Yeah, and next step, since it's a unified platform, we'll be able to link, you mentioned about how there are things here in the report that you hadn't mentioned. And in the case that maybe AI is not correct, we will have the ability for you to click on that, bring up the images, do your validation, and proceed with your final report.
Well, whatever the context, the ability to move quickly back and forth from the image to the report and reverse will be a huge leap forward.
Great.
Speaking of context, we didn't show the user research tool. Should we do that real quick? This is a tool we actually developed for internal use. And the idea is we would use this to get user feedback so that we could iterate quickly on the sort of functionality, iterate on the actual use cases, and then fine tune both the prompts and the models that are driving these features. For one thing, we get all those data. For another thing, we can feed whatever context we want into this tool. So we can feed reports, prior reports, HL7, DICOM metadata, and eventually images and all the other stuff that's coming. And even though we developed this as a research tool, it turns out maybe it could actually be useful in the context of a read. And since it knows about the patient, maybe there's something that you would want to ask your intelligent assistant here.
Well, actually, there is something. I would love to know whether prior reports suggested recommended follow-up. And I'd like to do so without having to plow through all of those prior reports. That will help me decide whether or not I need to recommend new or additional follow-up for this particular patient. So let's give it a try. So I'm going to ask whether prior follow-up was ever recommended. And lo and behold, we discovered that follow-up was recommended for not only the large mass for which bronchoscopy was recommended, but follow-up was recommended for the additional incidental findings using the existing guidelines for lung nodule follow-up. That's going to be very helpful to me in knowing what to recommend next.
Perfect.
So just to be clear, this is a research tool that will continue to iterate, and of course will incorporate speech and things like that to make it much more user-friendly for the cases where, like Dr. Sachs showed, you might actually want to use it in clinical practice. Again, this is our first iteration of this technology in the platform, and we'll continue to improve and see where it goes from here.
One thing I'd like to add is that, we've shown you functionality related to images and text, and we also have other various data feeds into the user research tool and into our platform. And the future of medicine is multimodal. Medicine itself right now is multimodal in practice. When a physician is deciding on the optimal path of care for a patient, they are looking at images, they're looking at radiology reports, labs, pathology, the EMR, genomics potentially, proteomics, all the omics. We've done the groundwork to build a performant, unified system ready for the future. This is just the beginning. This is where it gets fun. Thank you.
Now we group hug.
5 years ago, two things became clear to us. That AI will be able to double radiologists' efficiency now in the very near future, and that AI analyzes large multimodal data far better than human eyes and brains can on their own. In other words, AI is the next technology that demands radiology be reimagined around it once again. What was true in radiology twice before is true again today. Those physicians bold enough to reimagine their specialty for this new age will own the future of diagnostic medicine. But more than that, they'll inspire a new AI-powered future for all of healthcare. At our highest aspiration, Sirona is not what transforms radiology. At our highest aspiration, Sirona is everything physicians need to transform radiology again. So healthcare is at the dawn of a new digital age, and what has been true for the last 50 years is still true. Radiology is where the future of medicine begins. With that, here's exactly what Sirona is going to do next. Over the next 3 years, we're going to work with an incredible group of clinical advisors and AI vendors and partner practices to deliver the largest transformation in clinical efficiency and quality of life for radiologists in a generation. Then, within 5 years, we're going to deliver radiology to its multimodal future, allowing radiologists to offer the first entirely new products in a very long time. For half a decade, we've been skating towards a brighter future for radiologists, and we always will. So, come talk to us, because in addition to the awesome software we have launched here today, we have the coolest group of people around this business that help to deliver our solution to our customers. We also have even more of radiology's AI-powered future to show interested people and practices behind closed doors. Starting right now, you can sign up for a platform demo at the link below. Please do so if you're interested in what we are building. You can also reach out to us directly at sales@sironamedical.com, and if you're gonna be at RSNA, please register for a demo to come and put your own hands on this really special thing that we've built. So on behalf of the entire Sirona Medical team, I now get to say words that we have all been waiting a very long time to be able to say. Thank you for watching our inaugural launch event, and we cannot wait to speak with you all individually about what we've built and the future that we are building towards. So thank you for watching, and see you soon.
It's unexpectedly simple to implement a site with Sirona. We've probably spent 10 hours in meetings, maybe. And then Sirona took it from there. And oftentimes we were in the meetings simply to provide context for our client.
I think Sirona is a great solution for other similar practices to mine, that it kind of eradicates a lot of the challenges and burdens that we face as growing practices and trying to take on new business and manage our efficiencies and our costs.
One of our sites basically is a 1 to 2 person IT department in a small critical access hospital. And we were successful there with very little strain to their system. With Sirona, we've stood up sites very simply at very, very low cost or no cost. And again, that's a critical piece in our ability to scale our practice.
Another huge benefit for our daily workflow with the implementation of Sirona is our ability to subspecialize. Currently, we do have a gamut of subspecialist radiologists, but when they're staffed at one of our outside sites, it becomes cumbersome to have to switch between PAC systems to read a knee MRI, for example, when I'm in Dillon and needing to provide an MSK read.
And if we can have somebody that is maybe specialized in something that we're missing that day, we can have them, pick off the studies that are coming in of that subspecialty, and they can do that regardless of if it's coming from the hospital or coming from one of our outpatient sites. It doesn't matter. And I think that's the real benefits that Sirona is proving to us.
The Sirona people work directly with our outreach clients. They set up all the IT pieces. Basically, we just had to listen for updates and testing. So it was like no IT project I've ever been through, that was very hands-on. This was more of observation and, trust but verify kind of thing. I didn't really have to do any boots on the ground or any projects with it. And just their ability to communicate with a variety of different people that look at the world differently was quite remarkable.
Currently, my practice does not have their own internal IT support. We have always relied on the hospitals that we read from to provide IT services. The current challenges we face with integration are relying on our boots on the ground team here in our hospital, which is frankly understaffed. And so currently we have to wait about 4 to 5 months for our interfaces to be written before we can add on new sites. Sirona is intriguing because they have a built-in team dedicated to doing this and also offer the customer service that our smaller sites need to go out and actually help these small hospitals get on board so that we can start helping them immediately when they need it. So I'm very excited to have, in a way, a more personalized IT team that's familiar exactly with radiologist needs and able to be very responsive to them.
If we have a remote reader, it's easier to get that person set up with a light footprint. We're not shipping them 3 different PACS systems and trying to deal with the offsite training requirements. I had, a thoughtful, not a negative person, just a very thoughtful, sort of stepwise skeptical person email me a couple weeks after we started this. And he said, he conveyed an interaction with Sirona. He said, "These people are so helpful. But the great thing is we're in communication, and unlike the big vendors, you actually talk to me and I put in feature requests, and lo and behold, new features roll out like last week, drag and drop." And I'm not trying to beg the IT department to roll out patches and have the server group and 3 different groups help. It just gets rolled out because it's a modern, continuous delivery, cloud-based product.
But having a system that is essentially free of downtime and idiot-proof will likely be taken for granted very quickly by radiologists, which is a sign of how important it is.
The way that accessing the studies and the integration with the voice recognition software, and to be honest with you, how amazing the voice recognition software worked was really what kind of initially impressed us.
Sirona's accuracy with speech to text is amazing. It's better than what I use today. The reporter that Sirona has actually uses the context of what I'm saying to guess which word I'm saying, and its guess is almost always right.
I find it to be very accurate in changing what I'm saying, and as you can tell, I've got sort of a bad accent, but it still picks it up and gives me an accurate reading. And it's easy to review, and I find the whole system to be very efficient.
And that currently, when we read at one of our outside sites and we want to compare priors, we have to actually log into another PACS and search priors in that PACS. Sirona has the ability to unify all of these different sources of patient information into one site so that we no longer have to take the time to do this in order to provide the best reads for our patients. They're very focused on making radiologists' workday better. I've not encountered that with any other IT staff or, hospital staff that are really uniquely concerned about what's going to make a radiologist happy and more efficient.
So Sirona has been a big improvement for us in responsiveness to our needs. So with prior vendors, we were sort of an unknown, even though we're a big practice. To get in touch with somebody was an 800 number, and they or may not respond to it. And secondly, you have multiple different vendors when you're dealing with the other companies. With Sirona, you have one dedicated contact with backups who's responsive and immediately takes care of the problem and keeps you informed of the process as it happens, so you're never left in the dark.
So in terms of the size of practice or type of practice that Sirona would be a good fit for, I think it's unlimited. I think a one-person practice can access this. They're getting costs that are similar to somebody who had a 200-person practice. Again, this is operational. It's an operational cost and easily scalable. The simplicity, the integration of support, all make it possible for a one-person practice to do this and do it well. And then from there, it's just scaling up.
I think as we think about how we're going to advance the practice of medicine, it's not about the silos of radiology or pathology or clinical medicine. It's about how do we bring all of the data including new data around genomics or proteomics or other emerging fields together to treat patients in a very personalized way. So I think radiologists are going to be a part of a bigger team that's practicing personalized care, and technology is going to be what really powers that. And I think the cloud is one of the enabling technologies of this shift to personalized care.
So radiomics is really going to be key, I think, to the future of radiology. For one thing, there's a limit to what our eyes can detect on images. Radiologists are really good at seeing things and making judgments about data points and information that they're given. But there's only so much we can see with our eyes. And now as AI has progressed and our capability of doing data analytics has progressed, we have all these information points, millions of information points coming to us. And as radiologists, our job's probably going to shift from being lesion detectors to more making judgments on what to do with all these data points and how to guide the treatment and therapy for the patients. I think radiologists are going to less be lesion detectors and more kind of data analytics type people. We take all these information points, both from the grayscale images, from the radiomics type data that we get, and we're going to process that, make recommendations for how best to treat our patients, what the next best imaging study is. In some ways, radiologists are probably going to be the owners of all that data and the managers of all that data, which places us really in a central role of the healthcare team.
So I think what stands in the way of multimodal healthcare right now is a few different issues. One is a resistance to move to the cloud that is breaking down so that all of these different modalities can be shared and integrated. That it's very important that you're cloud native because the infrastructure has to be seamless and work together well, and the connectivity has to work well. And it seems that, given the amount of information we're talking about in a multimodal approach, the cloud is really the only way to go. So I think that's critical. In 5 years, when pathology goes digital and when pathology and radiology are hopefully more unified, I think the thing I'll be most proud of is that we improved care for cancer patients.
There is going to be an opportunity, I think, for radiology to grab the data that is available and integrate it in a way that provides tremendous value to patients and to the referring communities that they serve. None of that happens without an ability for a technology stack to enable that.